Hi there. So sometimes moms ask me what to tell their parents because their parents will say things like, "Well, I did it like this with you and you turned out fine." Things like that. And it's hard sometimes to know how to respond to that without, getting into an argument or hurting feelings. Because the truth is that just because you parent differently doesn't mean that you believe that the way your parents parented you is wrong. It's just they did the best they could with the information they had at the time. And nowadays we know more things, we know different things, science is always advancing and we learn more things the same way they also parented differently than their own parents. And that doesn't mean that we are not appreciative of everything our parents did for us. It doesn't mean that there aren't many things that we learn from our parents that we are passing along to our children. It doesn't mean that at all. It just means that there are also, like all people, no parent is perfect, like you are also not perfect. No one is, right? And your parents did the best they could, and now you are also doing the best you can. And you have to remember the times are so different. When I think about like when I was a kid, there were no seatbelts. There were no child seats, and things were so different. Like for instance, like nowadays, you know that you cannot give raw food to children under the age of 6, right? Because it's really dangerous. But when I was a kid, that was not the case. Really, there was no not the knowledge people had was very different from what is today, right? And the same way that one day when your kids will have their own kids, they will also be in a completely different world, right? So the world changes. And when you what that's what you need to explain to your parents is that it doesn't mean that you don't think they did an amazing job. It doesn't mean that you are not so proud of the way you ended up, and there are so many things you want to pass along to your children, and there are also some things you want to do differently because again, nowadays we know differently, and because no parent is perfect, and there are certain things always that you want to, do differently because you know how it affected you. So it's not at all, it's not about being one against the other, it's about explaining the why of what you do. If you need my help with anything, just let me know.